Hi, my name's Michelle. I'm here to teach you a really easy way to make yogurt today. I'm coming at you from the northwest of Tasmania, Lutruwita, and I'd love to share this method with you. It's one of those things that seems a bit mysterious when you see it in a packet, and yet it's really pretty easy to make once you know what the principles are. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to make warm milk, and we'll be adding yogurt to that, a couple of spoonfuls of yogurt, and putting the warm milk with the yogurt mix into warm jars, putting them into a warm place. I've got an esky here with warm bottles of water in it. Any kind of insulated container will do the job. If you would like a copy of the instructions, I've got some instructions here which I'll post on the Reseed Centre website. That's based in Penguin, and the actual Reseed Centre, the website is on the internet, of course, and you're welcome to have a copy of these instructions so you can make yogurt at home too. I do run workshops too, so if you ever want to join in one of those, please get in contact. So first it says to gather all of your materials and ingredients, because when we get around to doing the making, it's good if we do it quite swiftly so that we're not losing too much temperature. Temperature is very important. So it says gather a large bowl, milk powder. Let's have a talk about that. I've got some full cream milk powder here that I got from my whole food shop locally. It's organic. A few reasons for that. I like to support organic farmers looking after the soil and their animals. I like to support local whole foods shops, but I also like the fact that organic products don't have man-made pesticides or chemicals in them. And in this particular case, it's important to me that there's no antibiotics in here, because we're introducing some bacteria that will make the yogurt for us, and we don't want to kill them with antibiotics. It's not unusual for milk to have a small level of antibiotics in it. You may know that in several industries where they use animals, they use antibiotics as a growth promoter and not just when they have infections. Milk powder. Water at room temperature, cold. I've got a filter here. If you've seen my sourdough videos, you will see that we want water that doesn't have chlorine in it. Again, chlorine is designed to kill living organisms, and we're putting some bacteria in here who are going to do their amazing yogurt work and set milk into a solid product. And so we don't want chlorine in there. If you don't have a filter, you've got tank water, that's fine. You might like to boil some water and then let it cool down. You might like to put your tap water with chlorine in it into some bottles and leave them overnight, and the chlorine will off gas. So that's ways to get your water. We want boiling water as well. It's got the kettle here too. And then we want a good yogurt. I'm going to use a yogurt that I made in a previous batch, but there are lots of ones that you can buy to use as your starter the first time you do it. So I've got a few here and some other ideas too. My ideal would be to get Algar organic yogurt, which is made near Deloraine here in Tasmania. It's yummy and it's organic. Yana is one you can get from the supermarket. I've got another Tasmanian one here, West Haven. So the important thing is, though, there's roughly two types of yogurt that you'll find in the supermarket. One that's a natural, it says natural, or it might say pot set. One says pot set, and this one says natural set. So in that the bacteria from the yogurt are doing the job of the setting. There are other kind of yogurts where they set it with gelatine. So it will list gelatine in the ingredients. So when you're looking for one to use as your starter, you will want one that just has dairy products and natural and cultures as the ingredients on the ingredients list. You can also tell the difference if you happen to get one without a label, for example. When you take a scoop out of a natural set yogurt and come back to it maybe an hour later, you'll see there's a bit of clear liquid in the bottom there. It's separated into its curds and whey, because that's what we're making some curds here. So that's a natural set yogurt. A yogurt that's been set with gelatin, you take a spoonful out and you come back an hour later, it looks exactly the same. Different products. So you might find some of them will have listed what kind of bacteria they've got in there as well. This is actually goat's milk yogurt, this West Haven one, which is fine to use as a starter too. It contains live Lactobacillus acidophilus and bifidus cultures. You may have heard those words before in advertising jingles. Lactobacillus is one of the important ones in yogurt. Lactobacillus is a bacteria that likes eating lactose. So people who are a little bit lactose intolerant may find they can tolerate yogurt because some of the lactose has been eaten up by the bacteria in the process of making yogurt. Got another one here that has live yogurt cultures, includes Streptococcus thermophilus and Lactobacillus bulgaricus. That's a Greek style yogurt. Interesting to speak about this one, the Streptococcus. No, I'll go a step back. Lactobacillus quite like body temperature, our kind of 37-degree body temperature. So that's the sort of temperature we're aiming for in the esky, or the insulated container. Streptococcus are quite happy at lower temperatures, so they will remain active if this gets a bit cooler, and also in your fridge. So when you buy the yogurt that's on special, because it's very close to its best before date, and it's really tart, that's because of the Streptococcus. So if you like a tart yogurt, you can leave your yogurt in here longer, or you can leave it in your fridge longer, because the Streptococcus will keep being active at those fridge temperatures. If you don't like a tart yogurt, then you might wish to do this slightly less time. I use it for 9 hours. That might be fine, maybe 8, 7. You might go less, and eat it fairly quickly once you've finished it. So that's probably enough about yogurt. You need a whisk, a spoon, and a measuring jug on a plate. So I've got those things here on a plate. Plate is just to keep things clean. We don't need to work in a sterile environment, but we do want things clean. We only want to introduce the bacteria that we want to introduce, and no other ones. So make sure everything's nice and clean. Jars to put the yogurt in. For this quantity, you might need 3 large jars, or maybe 4. I have quite a few bottling jars, Fowler's jars, so that's what I use just for convenience, but any kind of glass jar with a screw-on lid will be just fine. I find it convenient to have ones with a wide mouth, so it's easy to get your hand in to clean it before and after to make sure it's nice and clean. And they want to be clean and warm. So at the moment I've got them sitting in a tub with some warm water in them, and I will tip the water out just when I'm ready to do it. So they're nice and warm, putting the yogurt in. Got my esky, or a cool box, or a chilli bin, but today it's a warm box because we've put some warm water in there to keep it as an insulated container to do the warming for our yogurt. Hot water inside. I'll show you what's in there actually. So all that we do to keep the nice temperature is get some bottles and fill them with the hottest tap water you can get. So sort of, it's pretty hot. I'm going to put it down, 60, 70 degrees. And so I've just got a couple of bottles in there to do that job. You can, there's plenty of other ways you can keep things warm, but this one is pretty easy. Pop a thermometer in the first time you do it and see how the temperature goes. If you're finding that your tap water is not hot enough, you might want to just add a bit more boiling water to the top of the jars to keep them hot. I've got a woolen blanket there. I'm going to pop that in to make it all snug in there. You may want to put your yogurt jars into a cloth bag in case there's any milky spills on the outside, but you don't have to. I won't do that today. So we've got our esky ready. Let's do the next step. Start with 5 cups of cold water. I was going to show you my yogurt first. Let's do that before we get started. So this is the yogurt I'm using today. This is one I made before. You can see what I do to decide which one is going to be my starter is I put 2 clips on the lid to say, don't need this one until I've used it as my culture. So I'll show you how that looks. I'm going to take a scoop out. You see, it's a nice solid curd. So that will be our starter for today. I like to open a new jar of yogurt to be my starter. I know some people who make their own yogurt and they eat their way down to the bottom, and when there's a little bit left, they use that as their starter next time. I would hesitate to do that, because every time you're introducing a spoon, you're potentially introducing other bacteria, ones that you don't want. So my preference is to open a new yogurt, whether it's a bought one from the shop or whether it's one I've made myself. Open the new yogurt to use as my culture. So let's get going. So we've got our esky ready. We've got, I'm going to pour 5 cups of cold water into my big bowl. Okay, 4, 5. And then we'll get our milk powder happening. So I've got 2.5 cups of milk powder on the instructions. Really what you want is at least enough for making milk. So you can look at the instructions on the packet if your milk powder comes with instructions. or a little bit more. So if you're adding more milk powder, it'll be a little bit more creamy, a little bit more calcium. It's probably a good thing. I'm just using my whisk to break up some of the lumps. Now, when I was a girl, there used to be instant milk powder and non-instant milk powder in the supermarket shelves. And the instant milk powder has soy lecithin in it. It's hard to say. And soy lecithin is an emulsifier, so it helps it instantly dissolve into the water, which this one doesn't have, which is why it's taking me a little bit of time to get rid of the lumps. I have no problem with that because the boiling water I'm about to use will help dissolve them. And I quite like the principle of when I want to buy milk powder, I just want to buy milk powder. I don't want to buy it with soy in very much. So you can choose that, be conscious of what you're buying and have a look at the ingredients. Even if it just says milk powder, look at the ingredients list. It might have soy in it as well. So I'm going to get boiling water. I'll be back in a sec. Okay, I'm back with my boiling water and I want 4 cups of this. And in fact, this jug very handily has measuring marks on it, so I know that this is exactly 4 cups. Pour it in and mix that to get rid of any lumpy bits. Okay, so now is when we want to work fairly quickly. I've got my 5 cups of cold water, 4 cups of boiling water plus milk powder in here, so we've got warm milk. I'm going to add in 2 spoonfuls of my yogurt as a starter. It's a bit of a theory that less is more here. Interesting book by Sandor Katz. He suggests 2 teaspoons for making a litre. There's a bit of a theory that you give them more room, the bacteria will do a better job of taking it up. If you've heard anything before about how quickly bacteria multiply, you would know that the amount that you put in is a little bit immaterial. In a short while, they will have doubled and doubled again and doubled again and doubled again. So pop my whisk down, just whisk that in to make sure the yogurt's a bit broken up and it's distributed right throughout the warm milk. And now is the time for our warm jars. So I'm just tipping out the warm water. Clean lids, clean jars. If there's any spare, I'll pop some in a little jar for a friend. Or you might like to use a little jar as your starter so that you don't have to use a big one first. Righty-ho. So you might have a good jug with a spout you can use, but I find it easy enough just to pour from the bowl, she said confidently. There we go. Right, a little bit left over for my friend. I can use that one for my washing. So lids up. I'll do what I normally do and I'll put 2 clips on the one I want to keep. Doesn't really matter which one. I'll pick one that looks good. One that I want to keep for the starter. If you're just using ordinary jars, you just put the lids on. And then the esky over here. Snuggled up next to those warm bottles of water. So that'll be in there for 9 hours. So in terms of timing, I'm doing this about midday, so I can take them out just before I go to bed. The other time that I might do it is last thing at night, and then I can get them out first thing in the morning, or sometime in the morning. So I'm just going to put, got a woolen blanket here. I'm just going to fill up the rest of the space in there. There we go. It's ready to sit there until bedtime. So when I pull it out, it will still be a little bit soft, maybe is the word. It will finish off its hardening in the fridge. So don't shake it around when you first get it out of the esky. Otherwise you'll lose some of that structure that the bacteria have built. I think that's all I need to tell you. If you have any questions, feel free to put them down below. If you want any troubleshooting, I would say if this comes out, if it smells wrong, if it looks wrong, if there's gas buildup in there, chuck it out. We need to be careful with dairy products, especially keeping them at body temperature. So please be careful with that. Make sure everything is very clean. You're only introducing the bacteria from the yogurt culture that you've got, and use your common sense. If it doesn't look, smell, taste quite right, don't risk it, chuck it out. But I think you'll find that this is a pretty easy way to do it, and I hope you enjoy making yogurt. That's all for now. Bye.